but does it burn up on entry? With the 50th anniversary of the Detroit riots approaching, we'll look at what part the media played in 1967 and how it should be covered today. And pedal power. The city's bike sharing program is ready to launch. Today is Sunday, May 7th, 2017, and this is Flashpoint. Hi, welcome to Flashpoint. Another big and dramatic week in Washington, but it is not easy to say exactly where the drama over health care is now headed. After a quickly called vote, too quickly to some, President Trump was finally able to line up enough Republican support to pass one of his signature campaign promises in the House. The president was so proud of the vote, he put together a victory lap in the White House Rose Garden, but the vote had no sooner passed than some in the Senate were promising to tear it up before getting to work on their own version. Now, this week, the Congressional Budget Office, we expect, is going to issue their report on the bill. What's that going to do to the debate? We're going to dig into all that this morning. Also, we're drawing closer to the 50th anniversary of the cataclysmic events of 1967 in Detroit. There are quite a few commemorations and observations of the anniversary. Some are asking if we should spend much time on it at all. So this morning, the media's role then and today. And then a little later, the city is set to roll out its new bike sharing program as Detroit continues its role as a bike city. And we'll check it out this morning on Flashpoint. Let's start this morning with the vote in the House to end Obamacare and launch Trump Care. My pre-existing condition is one of skepticism about what either side is promising is going to happen from here on out. So let's bring in a little help on that front. Stephen Henderson is here, editorial page editor of the Detroit Free Press. Very good to have Dr. Herman Gray, formerly of the Detroit Medical Center, now the president and CEO of United Way for Southeast Michigan. Doc, thanks for coming.
Great to be here.
And Nolan Finley, editorial page editor of the Detroit News. And Dr. Gray, let me start with you, because for all of the voices and noise that I've heard over the last 6 months on this debate, I don't hear very many doctors talk about it. We hear the AMA sometimes weighs in, but I'm curious as to your thoughts on where we are and whether or not we're building a better mousetrap in America.
I think fundamentally, docs are committed to taking care of patients, and they want the best for their patients. They want to be able to take care with as least hassle as possible every single person that walks in the exam room. And whether this, meets that criteria, I think remains to be seen, but it seems unlikely. And I think that the, AMA's position is largely predicated on the fact that so many people might lose coverage, as a result of this.
I really want a healthcare world where my healthcare decisions are just between me and you, me and my doctor. And I may be completely naive to believe that that's how it can be. But in the same way that doctors don't go to medical school going, I can't wait to deal with all that paperwork, we really have gotten away from, it seems to me, that very basic function of healthcare.
Oh, there's no question. On one hand, we have arguably the best healthcare system in the world. On the other hand, people don't trust it very much at all, and they feel like they're treated as a number. And a large part of that, I think, is because there's so much bureaucracy placed between the physician and the individual that they're sitting with. If you go back a couple, centuries, you had medicine men sitting around, a fire or in a village who could do precious little in terms of actual technology and improving people's conditions, but they were beloved and respected by that community because they took time, they cared, they listened to you. They paid attention to you and your value and worth as a person. In the very pressurized environment that physicians find themselves in now, there's time pressures. If a visit's going past 12, 13 minutes, you're going to start to break out in a rash. And that changes everything, let alone the paperwork and the bureaucracy.
I don't have your medical file number here to refer to you as just a number, but that's kind of where we are. Your piece that you wrote on Friday, you're not too thrilled about where things have gotten. No. I think in 2010 with the ACA, we made a cultural statement about what we believe in this country about healthcare and its importance, the access to healthcare. This is an opportunity institution, one of those things that marks the difference for some people between intergenerational poverty and intergenerational wealth. And we said
access matters, and we're going to make sure that people get it. This bill that passed this week yanks that out from under those.
I would say the success of what we call Obamacare would be that there are certain things that are now boilerplate, such as pre-existing conditions, things like that. But you wouldn't suggest that Obamacare didn't need some help.
No, absolutely. It was an imperfect solution brought about by an imperfect political process. But what they're doing now is saying, let's gamble that the people at the bottom will be taken care of by the market in order to give relief to people in the middle and at the top. What Obamacare said was, we're going to make sure that the people at the bottom have that care, and we'll work out what the costs look like for people in the middle and the top later. That never happened, partially because Republicans never wanted to talk about the law after it got passed.
Dr. Fenley, your thoughts?
Well, I think that you've got to compare the promise to the reality, and the promise was just as Steve stated. The reality is nowhere close to that. The idea that we'd give access to insurance to all, or give health insurance, everybody would have a policy, that was never delivered, still hasn't been delivered.
We're close.
Fewer than half the people, or only a third of the people who were uninsured in 2009 became are insured today. And meanwhile, we're spending $110 billion a year on this. Insurance market for everyone else has been upended. Co-pays, deductibles for middle-class people with employer-sponsored health insurance or buy on the individual market, they've soared to the point where those policies are almost useless when you start asking families to go out of pocket $12,000 a year. And that's what's happened since 2009. This thing has to be fixed. This idea that pre-existing conditions were no longer going to cover them, that's just not true. The mandates don't go away. What happens is states can apply
opt-out portion
the
for
opt-outs.
states.
You can apply for waivers, but you can only get a waiver if you agree to tap into this $100 billion high-risk pool that will subsidize those sickest Americans and address a huge driver of Obamacare's rising costs. Right now, we're asking younger, healthier people to subsidize the policies of older, sicker people, and that hasn't worked. They're not buying policies.
But they're also
one of the reasons, though, why I wanted to have a physician here, because Dr. Gray, we all have pre-existing conditions, don't we?
Pretty much. And the smarter we get, the more we find. It's a function of technology and and knowledge. There's no perfect human being either. From a physician perspective, the plan that existed, the ACA, that currently is still law, clearly is not a perfect, and lots of docs had heartburn about that law before it was passed. But it has, I think unquestionably, put millions more on, in the position of not having to risk personal bankruptcy or, disaster to receive care. And that, to me, is a moral imperative. And it's particularly at a time when the gap between those who have and who have not is growing in this country. This is a situation that we should be really troubled by, this gap. And we're only going to compound the problem with what is at least proposed with this pending legislation.
Giving states the flexibility to innovate, craft plans that are suitable to their population rather than a one-size-fits-all plan, allowing smaller groups of people to craft plans that work for them out from under these government mandates may end up driving down costs so that you improve access through affordability.
Well, the key,
and you can't assume
the key
that
part
states
of that statement,
slash people off Medicaid.
The key statement there, the key part of your statement is may. You are willing to leave to the throes of the market the access to health care for people at the bottom, and I'm saying that is morally.
The people at the bottom of the market are at high risk now of losing their insurance.
Actually, they're not. They're on Medicaid.
You've got state after state after state where the exchanges are going out of business.
So for people in the middle.
We did have,
we don't care about people in the middle. We don't care about those middle-class families.
I'm saying that those.
Why do you think you got Trump in the White House?
I'm saying
that attitude.
I'm saying
that part's true.
I'm saying those issues need to be worked out. They're on the market side of this, but you don't yank out the subsidy side at the bottom in order to fix it.
The subsidy side, you've got a $100 billion high-risk pool that these states can tap to subsidize the policies.
I
That's not going to work
somebody
the way
needs
you
to
think
explain to me a high-risk pool.
So
it seems to me if I create a car insurance company that is only built on customers who are going to have car wrecks, I'm going to go out of business very quickly.
Absolutely.
I don't understand how that works.
I think the pool, the $100 million, I think, is probably woefully inadequate for what actually will be needed.
Yeah.
And that's
by
foremost.
intent. That's purposeful.
Yeah. There's no way $100 billion for the country would cover the high risk. That's very problematic, and the ability to estimate what those costs are going to be, and even if you know what they are today. This is a bill that, of course, goes into the future, and it's very difficult to anticipate what the cost may be 3 years from now, let alone 5, 10 years from now, and that's very problematic as well. And one of the things that's not talked about very much with this, of course, is the Medicaid, how you fund Medicaid, and that's probably a bigger issue in many ways for a larger number of people. Putting a cap, whether it's a block grant to a state or an individual cap on expenses. So if I hit my limits, all of a
people
sudden,
will go uncovered, and that was the intent behind it.
And I got to leave it there. Thanks very much for the conversation. We'll see where this goes. Again, we expect the Congressional Budget Office numbers to come out this week. When we come back, looking back, how closely do we look back at 1967 as we hit 2017? This is Flashpoint on Open Forum.
If you keep addressing it.
All right, well, chances are you've already heard a good bit about the coming anniversary of that catalytic summer of Detroit back in 1967. Exhibits and remembrances are set for many institutions in Detroit. Catherine Bigelow, of course, has a film called Detroit that will be out in August. But how best to mark the moment? Let's look at the media angle on that with Luther Keith, now with Arise Detroit, but for so long with the Detroit News. Marlo Stoudemire is the owner of the Butterfly Effect in Detroit, but he is guiding the Detroit Historical Society's plans for this summer. And Tim Kiska, professor of communications at U of M Dearborn, who has become pretty much the historian of Detroit journalism, especially on the broadcast side. Great to have you all here.
Glad to be here. Thanks for having us.
Before we look back at the way the media roll and what it's doing now, I guess I'm interested in talking about what we do to appropriately mark this moment. Because, Luther, I'm hearing from a number of people that say, look, we don't want to wallow in that awful time enough already. Right. Detroit's on the move. Let's keep moving.
Well, it's not about wallowing it. And it's about learning from it. And that's what I think the most instructive lesson of looking back to look forward, to use a phrase that's being used, because I think there are similarities and differences. I think things have improved many ways, but in many ways things are the same, or they've advanced but have not advanced far enough. So it has to be a learning tool, otherwise it is wallowing. So hopefully we can all learn from these exhibitions and from books and movies and all the rest of it, and continue to move our community forward. But we can't be ostriches, we can't stick our heads in the sand.
Yeah. Marlo, what are your thoughts on it?
I agree. I think that the purpose of the project, looking back to move forward, is not necessarily to move forward past what happened, but to use our collective history as a way to learn about where we've been, how we got there, but more importantly, where the opportunities are so it doesn't happen again.
And yet, in a time where we are racially fraught right now, watching just what happened at Fenway Park the last this past week, it doesn't take much to strike a match right now. And I guess some people are worried about how these old wounds can fester in new ways.
Well, one of the things that I like to say to people is, people say, well, why are you trying to pull the scab off of an old wound? My question is, what makes you think a scab ever formed? Right? The way that
would suggest healing.
Exactly. So you can't avoid the conversation. The conversation needs to happen. There needs to be a level of critical thinking, establish some level of common ground why it matters to you, whether you live in Detroit proper or not, to figure out how collectively we can do something about it. I mean, race is an age-old issue. It's institutional, it's historical, and it's systematic. And it's not just a Detroit thing, but it starts with conversation. So moving the conversation forward, not forgetting about what happened, but using that as an opportunity to create a better future. I think that's important.
Tim, I guess to be completely frank, the people that I have heard say that, we don't want to, wallow in this or not all that interested in looking back, typically, I guess they've been white people that I've heard that from, which I guess is a sign of where we are.
Well, I've heard a lot of African-American people say the same thing.
All right.
But, I mean, another way of looking at it is, after this happened, the federal government spent a ton of money on the Kerner Commission report to take a look, take a temperature of this entire country and Detroit, where we were in 1967.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the most scholarly study anybody's ever going to find about a city And I think this is a great opportunity, not to wallow in it, but to say, okay, that was the marker. We were there, we were here. Where are we now?
Where are we today?
You know, in some places.
And I think that's what journalism does. That's what we're
Absolutely.
supposed to do. Luther, as we look back, though, at the way that this is handled, even now and then, it's just interesting watching what people decide to call it. Were they the riots?
It's exactly. Is it a riot? Is it rebellion? Is it a civil disturbance? It's all of those things, actually, and it kind of depends on where you sit. I know, having grown up in the neighborhood, one of the epicenters of the disturbance, depending on who you are and how it affected you, it was different things to different people. So I think all of those realities, I mean, you can't shove all this into a box and say this is what it was, because it was so different to so many people. But it's good that we have the discussion and understand all those perspectives, and then you can learn and grow. And I think that's what we need to be doing.
So to that point, our exhibition at the Detroit Historical Society is called Perspectives, because one of the things that we learned from collecting over 500 oral histories is that everybody experienced it the same. And I'm not talking about black, white, or indifferent. See, the black experience isn't the same for everybody. Some people lived on the same block and experienced it differently. Some people called it a rebellion, a revolution, a riot. But see, our point is to give room and space for those truths to exist together and collectively, right? And so what I'm tired of—
Did you find yourself, though, having to be careful with nomenclature, with what you at the Historical Society were going to call it?
We were very careful to not necessarily define it for people. Right now, what we decided to do was to use a term that kind of had, to Luther's point, a little bit of all of that, right? So civil unrest, uprising. The one thing that we feel that's really important about this 5-year engagement strategy is that we want to give people enough information for them to make their own decisions on what they consider it, but more importantly, what do we do next, right? So the motto is engage people around what happened, give them space to reflect on what it really means to them, but more importantly, what actions are we going to take? We got to do something about this. We can't just sit in this, to your point, and just kind of mull over it.
Oh, I don't know if this means anything. 1943, we had a riot here, and this was far worse. Hand-to-hand combat, Army has to come in. This thing goes away, and basically it was, everybody forgot about it.
Right.
And it just went away. And then we ended up making the same old mistakes. I don't know what we learned from it. So
I'm assuming it was vying for attention against World War II at the time, right? I mean, so historically, we devote that period of time to something else.
But this was quite serious.
Yeah, clearly.
I mean, it was just, and by the way, this was a major defense center. The White House is going,
Right.
This is where our tank's coming from. You know, what are these folks doing? And you got to pay attention to this.
How does the journalism hold up? Because obviously journalism's under a microscope today, for its ability to inflame, and especially when you're trying to cover something as it's happening, without the benefit of hindsight. How does journalism hold up?
Well, it's changed a lot. As someone who's teaching journalism at the college level, along with Tim, really the landscape has changed immeasurably. I think we have to be cognizant of the fact there are so many sources of information. The phrase fake news has entered our nomenclature and has to be considered. So I think that now is a time even more than ever to be critical thinkers and be analytical. This is what I try to teach my students, and accept nothing as fact until you have checked it out.
Yeah, the phenomenon of the 24-hour news cycle is right in your face. People consume information in a different type of way. The traditional media outlets are different, right? Some people, I remember back in the day, I would get up, I would grab my newspaper. Then I would get up and go to freep.com. Now I get up and go to my Facebook timeline. So I'm consuming information in a different type of way, and it's based on my peers and my influence circles, my centers of influence.
Which is why it's so interesting to think of what social media, what kind of impact that would have had on an environment like 1967. You got about 30 seconds. Go ahead.
Day number one, there was a total news blackout on TV.
Right.
This town's burning. That could not have happened.
Not a chance.
Not a chance. No, we'd be knee deep in this stuff.
But there's no filter and cultural competency that's embedded into how that information is disseminated. There has to be some controls.
Fascinating. And this is just getting us started on this conversation, because we will be talking about it here more. Thank you all very much for being here.
Thank you.
We'll continue with more on Flashpoint. We'll ride a bike in Detroit after this.
Dual enrollment.
Welcome back. Detroit's transformation into a bike city is ready to take another big step. Later this month, more than 400 bikes will be put into commission on the city's streets as part of the city's new bike sharing program. It's called MOGO. Lisa Nuskowski is the executive director for MOGO, and she's with us. This has been, I think you said, 5 years in the making.
Yes.
And they're finally here.
A labor of love. Yes, they're finally here.
They look beautiful. And this is going to be an army of, as I said, 433 bikes, I believe it is, over how many stations?
43 stations.
43 different stations.
In 10 different neighborhoods.
So tell me how it's going to work then.
Yeah, exactly. So bike sharing is really great for shorter, quicker trips. So you'll be able to walk up to any one of those stations, check a bike out, ride it to your destination, check it into another station, and do what you got to do. And then if you want to check another bike out, you can do that, or you could grab another ride, you could take an Uber or a Lyft, you could take the bus, you could walk. So it's really flexible and convenient.
In fact, if you find you're the type that has to commute to work, once you get to work and then want to go somewhere else, this can be a part of your commuting day then. You kind of turn into a part-time bike rider.
Exactly. So whether you're taking the bus in or whether you're driving your car in, and you don't have access to your car, or maybe you don't want to unpark it from that coveted parking spot that you found, we encourage you to grab a bike, because how many of us have just gotten in our car and driven down the street about a mile to go to a meeting or run an errand, and so we feel like the bikes are going to be a really good solution for that.
Tell me about the interface here of how you actually take possession of a bike, because that obviously the less complicated. That's why Uber's been such a hit. It's so easy on the app. How do I take control of a MOGO bike?
Yep. So we've got a couple different pass options. So you have to purchase a pass to be able to use the system. If you're a casual visitor or a tourist, we encourage you to buy a daily pass, and you can walk right up to the kiosk, go through a few steps at the kiosk, swipe your credit card, and then you've got use of the system for 24 hours. But if you're a resident or you're somebody who spends a lot more time in the city, we encourage you to think about a monthly or an annual pass. And you could purchase either of those online, and then we'll mail you a key card, and then that's what you use to access the system. So you'll never have to interact with the kiosk. You'll just walk right up, swipe your card in the docking point, take a bike out, and you're on your way.
One of the things that I think is really important to note is that this is not your bike for the day. These are meant for commuting, for getting to one place to another. So it's all done in like 30-minute increments, correct?
Yeah, exactly. So this is all about point A to point B. So again, checking out a bike from the station that's nearest to you, riding it to where you need to go, and checking it back in. And we do it that way because we want to keep the bikes in circulation for other people to use, so that when you want to come out and get a bike, there'll be a bike available for you.
It was interesting, I'm sure, trying to figure out who was going to build and make these bikes, because these need to be war horses. This is not something that's only going to get out once or a couple times a week. This is a 24-hour-a-day bike.
Exactly, yeah. So we were fortunate enough to partner with the City of Detroit to get some federal grant funding, and we went through a competitive bidding process and selected PBSC Urban Solutions, who manufactures the bike. It stood the test of times in dozens of cities around the country, around the world, and so we're really excited about deploying the bikes here in Detroit.
And when you say around the world, that's an important part of it. This really is an international way to get around. You see bike sharing programs everywhere, but I think that you and I were talking earlier, it's going to be important here. We kind of need to create an education about how to coexist in a bike city, because if you, for instance, if you drive in Corktown, where you've got dedicated bike lanes that are closer to the curb, there's parking in the middle, and then traffic. There's been some confusion. Would that be safe to put it that way?
Yes, I think that's a very generous way of putting it. So as biking has become more popular and more prevalent around the city, you start to see more things like protected bike lanes, which I think is what you're referring to in Corktown. So I think there's education needed on everybody's parts, whether you're driving a car, whether you're riding a bike, whether you're walking. The great thing about Detroit is that we've got plenty of street space, so there's enough room for us all to share. So I think you're going to be seeing more messaging and education stuff coming out from the City of Detroit in particular about.
And now we're adding streetcars to the mix, which means not only dealing with the streetcars, but also the rail lines themselves, which don't marry very well with bicycle tires.
Yeah, absolutely. So for the safety of our riders, we're really encouraging them to stay off Woodward and to use alternate north-south streets like Cass or John R., either to the east or the west if you have to move north and south down the corridor. It's pretty darn exciting, Lisa. Thanks very much for being here. Thanks so much for having us. Congratulations, because here they are, MOGO. Thanks for being here. Meet the Press coming up next. Have a great week. We'll see you next time for Flashpoint.